Welcome to the Zamok Institute. I'm Ken Garrison, Director of the Institute. From time to time, we present commentary on current events in a biblical perspective. I want today to review some aspects of Bible prophecy concerning Israel and the nations. This is particularly important because we see almost daily fulfillment of those prophecies. From a historical perspective, almost 120 years ago, God began to move in the heart of the Jewish people throughout the earth to return to the land of Israel and to build up the nation there. There are multitudes of prophecies in the Bible speaking of this ingathering and promising such an ingathering as a sign really of the end times. Now, that migration of Jewish people has continued over that 120 or so years, so that the current population of the land of Israel, the Jewish population, is about 6 million. From a Christian standpoint, I believe this is a reason for great rejoicing. However, at the same time that the Bible predicts the ingathering of the Jewish people, it also predicts international response to that ingathering, a response which is negative. There has been and continues to be satanic reaction in the nations of the earth to what God is doing in the land of Israel. The Bible indeed predicts that all nations will be gathered together against this ingathered Israel. I want to make three citations along this line. First, from Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3, it speaks of Jerusalem becoming a heavy stone for all peoples, and that all the nations would be gathered against it. In the small book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2, it speaks of the time of God's favor returning to Jerusalem and Judah, and says that God will gather all the nations down in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Emek Jehoshaphat, meaning the valley where God is judge. In the New Testament, the Apostle John brings prophecies concerning these same things. Chapter 16, verse 15, writes of demonic spirits going out to the kings of all the earth, gathering them together for the great day of God the Almighty, speaking of this same war. Also, in the same book, John speaks and writes in more details concerning this struggle, and speaks of a great army forming east of the Euphrates River, preparing to come up and attack Israel. He speaks specifically of a 200 million man army. Now, in the past, we've been told by Bible scholars that certainly had to be a Chinese army because no other nation was populous enough to man such a great army. However, if we consider the multitude of Muslim nations as a whole, what they refer to as the Ummah, the Muslim nation, it certainly is populous enough to man such an army and has the very strong motivation to pursue an attack against Israel. We hear that almost daily from Muslim leaders. Now, John also predicts what I refer to as nuclear war making. He describes the battle consisting of fire, smoke, and brimstone, where a third of mankind is eliminated. Revelation chapter 9, verse 18. That is almost certainly a description of a nuclear exchange. Now, we all know that Iran, the nation of Iran, is currently developing its nuclear capabilities as rapidly as they possibly can. Once obtained, the religious leaders of Iran will use that capability to establish hegemony over the Ummah, over the Muslim nation. They've expressed that desire, and bring it under central control. And their intentions concerning Israel is clear. They express it daily to eliminate the state of Israel. Now, one of the problems that I've always had in considering Bible prophecy and teaching it over the years has been, how is it that the Bible says all nations. How is it that the United States would join such an alliance, led perhaps by the Ummah, against Israel? The United States is, all through the modern era of Israel, has been a strong ally of Israel, giving financial military aid, and perhaps most importantly, exercising the absolute veto in the United Nations to counter efforts within the UN to come against the nation of Israel. In addition to that, polls show that most Americans support Israel, and I believe that the majority of evangelical Christians are strongly supportive. So with such support for Israel, how could this nation turn against Israel? The answer to that question came, I believe, with the election of Barack Hussein Obama to the presidency. Mr. Obama, even though he expressed some weak claims to being a Christian, grew up as a Muslim. His father was a Muslim. Technically, he is a Muslim, and he exhibits the attitude of Muslims in his relationship, especially to Israel. In less than a year and a half, he has redirected American foreign policy to challenge friends and embrace enemies. Indeed, he seems determined to realign American foreign policy with that of the Muslim nations. Just in the past 2 weeks, he's joined action against Israel led by Egypt to attempt to force Israel to eliminate its supposed stockpile of nuclear weapons. Also, in the last week, Turkey attempted to break the naval blockade of Gaza. Israel does that in order to try to prevent large weaponry coming into that area, which would be used against them. During that encounter, it turned out to be a violent encounter on one of Turkey's ships, and as a result, even though Israel's rights to do such a thing or maintain that blockade, Mr. Obama couldn't force himself to support Israel, rather just call for a investigation, one that will be conducted by enemies of Israel, and the outcome is very predictable. Finally, Mr. Obama has totally failed in deterring Iran from joining the nuclear club. Perhaps he never intended to succeed. Whatever the case, Iran is moving rapidly in the development of these weapons. As we noted earlier, Iran, with nuclear capabilities and possessed by the vision of the Shiite Twelvers, seems poised to begin the fulfillment of the awesome prophecies cited in Revelation 9. As Christians, we need to pray for our brothers in faith on the mountains of Israel. We need to pray for an awakening among U.S. Christians. Few recognize the lateness of the hour. We must gird ourselves up for the developments that's coming very quickly to this country and to the world.